All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. Purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if there's probable cause for those charges. Probable cause simply means it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person that committed that crime. Of course, as you stand before me this afternoon, I presume that you're innocent to these allegations. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings, unless and until the State Attorney's Office is able to prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release today, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've got a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, or the warrant which led to your arrest. I'll determine if that bond should be raised or lowered or left the same, or whether there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be. If you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you today. You have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you have not had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts that surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there's a quartet of assistant state attorneys in the courtroom with me this afternoon. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. I now need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn.
Wake up.
You all solemnly swear affirm, tell the truth, whole truth, none but the truth. Outstanding. When you hear your name called, please step forward to the podium. Jordan DeVries. Jordan, what's your date of birth?
4/6/98.
Jordan, the charge is battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender?
I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
No prior criminal history, Your Honor.
Okay. Jordan, I have an address for you on Montano Avenue in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Correct.
And you live there with your mom, apparently?
Yes.
How long have you lived there?
We just recently moved back from Minnesota for this past month, but I lived there prior to living in Minnesota.
Do you have a job these days?
No.
And Mr. Larson, there's nobody here on that case? All right. Well, Jordan, I'm going to set your bond at $100. However, condition of the bond is that you'll have no contact with Michelle. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message. You don't contact her through any social media. Don't go where she lives. Don't go where she works. You don't have any contact of any kind. Any way that you might imagine contacting her, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond can be revoked and you can be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if she wants to contact, so if you answer your phone and hear her voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see her, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that she cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision she'll be allowed to make. She may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. She may tell them that she's not interested in pursuing this matter. But that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they're not dropped and you should not have contact. In addition, I have to hold you this afternoon up until 4 p.m. so that if she wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact, because then not only would you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. As far as the address on Montano goes, because of the no contact order, as long as Michelle stays there, you'll have to stay somewhere else. You may go by one time to collect your things, your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever it is you need, wherever you plan to stay. To accomplish that, however, you must contact the sheriff's office first. They will meet you there with a deputy who will stand by while you collect your things and get going where you're going. I'm going to have you back in court on the 6th of September. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren LaFortune. Afternoon, ma'am. What's your date of birth?
February 22nd, 1971.
All right. 2 charges today, a battery being domestic in nature and a simple battery. There's probable cause for the 2 charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself, you're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Yes.
I'll appoint the PD, Steve.
No prior history, Your Honor.
And is there any alleged victim here on this one?
I believe any victims is here today.
Okay. All right, Lauren, I have an address for you on Lima Drive in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
3 years.
You have a job these days?
Excuse me?
Do you have a job?
Yes, sir. I do junk removal.
Okay. All right, Lauren, I'm going to set your bond at 100 on each count. That's a total of 200. Condition of that bond is that you'll not have any contact not only with Kenneth, but with the young lady who was there at your house. Did you hear me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand it?
I did understand it.
I also have to hold you until 4 p.m. so that Kenneth wanted to serve you with a injunction for protection against domestic violence. We'd know where to find you. Same thing for you on this address on Lima. As long as he stays there, you'll have to stay someplace else. You can go by the house one time to collect your things, but you must contact the sheriff's office first. We'll have you back in court on the 6th of September. Also, very important for you to contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Silver. Afternoon, Crystal. What's your date of birth?
7687.
Crystal, you're here on a warrant signed by Judge Merritt. Apparently, you failed to appear in his court yesterday on 4 charges: possession of controlled substance, resisting without, possession of paraphernalia, and petty theft. Did you have the public defender on those charges, Crystal?
Not yet.
Would you like the public defender?
Yes.
I'll appoint the PD. Judge Warren set the bonds on these cases at $5,000, $3,000, $2,000, and $2,000 respectively, for a total of $12,000. These will be back in front of Judge Merritt on the 3rd of September. They may have told you the 13th. The right date is the 3rd. If you bond out, you should contact the public defender right away. If you can't bond out, they're going to come see you at the jail before you go to court, all right?
Okay, so it stays at 12,000?
It stays at 12,000, yep. All right,
Thank you.
Charles Alley?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
6/19/1981, sir.
Charles, I have obviously a number of charges here. I have, first of all, 1 count of armed burglary, 130 counts of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, 1 count of contributing, a burglary of a dwelling, another armed burglary of a dwelling, another possession of a firearm, and another burgled dwelling. As to all of those charges, there is probable cause. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Your Honor, I'd like to get represented by the public defender if you could, please, sir.
I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
Your Honor, Mr. Alley just went on probation on July 17, 2019 for a battery second offense. These offenses, however, happened during his case was pending prior to him pleading out to probation. However, we'd still like the court to take that into consideration that he had a criminal case pending committing crimes of this magnitude. He also has a history that includes multiple thefts, multiple burglaries, different things that obviously relate to the same charges he has. We are concerned Mr. Alley does have a violent temper. During the interview with detectives yesterday, he showed that temper as well as his previous case shows that as well. We would ask the court to leave the bonds as they are, as well as put in place the condition to not have any contact with Joshua Barnes. He is the minor.
Your Honor.
Hang on.
He is the minor in the case alleging the armed burglary as well as the possession of firearm by felon. So we would ask that condition at least be put in place for the pendency of this case as well.
Mr. Shaw, you have something for me?
Yes, Judge, we'd like to address the bond on the possession of firearm, 130 counts. He's charged with possessing he's either in actual possession of it or constructive. It's not physically possible to be in actual possession of 130.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Of 130, clap, of 130 guns. The other one leaves the constructive possession. And that's also hard to believe that he could be dominion and control over 130 guns when there's obviously in the PC affidavit 2 other people who are alleged to have been involved in this. I'm not asking you not to find probable cause, Judge. I'm just asking you to set a bond that's got some connection to
I think you can be in possession of 130 firearms. I don't know why you couldn't physically be in possession. You don't have to have them in your hand to be in possession, right?
You can have constructive possession, but how do you exercise dominion and control over that many weapons in a situation where you got at least 2 other people that are involved in the
Well, why can't they all exercise dominion and control at the same time? I mean, let's say they're all in the back of a pickup and they're all in the cab. Aren't they all in possession?
Not necessarily exercising the ability to exercise dominion and control.
I understand that, but I mean that's how possession cases always sort of roll out when there's multiple people. Everybody has PC for the actual possession to start with, and then we see where it goes, right?
Well, I'm not asking you to find no probable cause. I'm just saying that I'm just asking for a bond to be set, not multiply something times 130.
Okay, I get you saying. All right.
Yeah.
And Mr. Halley, I have an address for you on Cyrano Avenue in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir. I own the property.
Okay. You got it back? You don't need to get close to the microphone. How long have you lived there?
6 years, sir.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
I own 3 companies, sir.
Okay. All right. And let's see. Okay. And before I go any further, I'm really gonna urge you in the strongest possible terms, Mr. Alley, not to say anything else about the facts of the case. That's what the lawyer is for. You're gonna have a lawyer in your case. Anything you say here, like I mentioned earlier, can be used against you, and you could inadvertently say something that's not helpful. So I don't really want you to say anything. These are serious charges, and there's a lot of serious charges. So, this is all today is about is saying here's what the charges are and here's what happens next. I won't be the judge hearing your case. That'll be a circuit judge, and so we're just letting you know this is the starting place, and we're going to go from here. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Obviously, I got companies, I got employees that work for me, and I would ask for a reasonable bond so I could work and take care of my family. I understand that I can't have contact with a co-defendant, but my wife and my young kid you gave us contact on the battery over 2 years ago. There's never been another problem ever since. I want contact with my wife, sir. They told me she was going to show up and speak on my behalf this morning here at first appearance, and they're under the impression she can't come in and talk, Your Honor, and speak. And yes, sir, I want contact with my wife, and I need a reasonable bond, Your Honor, where I can get out and work. And I don't have to go back there. I got another place I can stay, or whatever the situation is that I have to take care of. That way I can afford to hire a lawyer to pay for these charges because of how serious they are, Your Honor. And me being innocent, that's what I need to do, sir.
Okay. Somebody do something about you not having contact with your wife?
Yes, sir. They won't let me call from the jail. They told me that, and they told my wife that she can't answer no phone calls from me, so she won't answer them.
Your Honor, if I may clear that up.
Sure.
The detectives strongly encouraged him not to speak about this case because his wife and his stepson are witnesses in this case. The stepson, Joshua Barnes, is Michelle Alley's biological son, so it was encouraged to him, please don't speak with them about the cases. That could be witness tampering charges. We don't want to do that to you. They were actually trying to instruct him to help him to not speak to anybody about this
Yeah, but
case.
there's nothing legally that stops him from talking to his wife.
Michelle Alley. No.
Certainly at this moment. So, all right. What I'm going to do, I am going to leave the bonds where they are, and I realize it's a lot of money, but that's only because I want to pass this along to the judge that's actually going to hear the case. I'm moving your date up to September 3rd. That will give you a chance to meet with your public defender and talk about what you might do as far as that's where his other cases are.
Your Honor,
it's going to
is the bonds $1,300,000? Is that correct?
Okay, hang on. He's got open cases in front of Judge Merritt right now.
Yes. May I virtual pass this?
Sure.
From the same detectives from 3 days.
Stop talking.
Yes, sir.
Tonight they're going we can leave these and I'll get them moved. Okay, and then I'll move them myself. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so I am leaving them. I'm leaving them where they are. That's, like I said, it's a total of 1.326 million. They're all coming back on the 3rd of September right now, which is where your other cases are. Public defender's going to come see you right away so they can start working on this. Discuss your issues. I will order that you not have contact with Joshua Barnes while these charges are pending. And like I said, you'll be back in court on the 3rd. PD will come see you before then. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
That's just my business. Excuse me.
Yes, you may. Richard Fraser. Where'd you go?
He left, but I'll take it.
Okay. Richard, what's your date of birth?
1866.
All right, Richard. First thing I have for you is a warrant that I signed. I found probable cause for 3 counts of lewd and lascivious battery. Then we have a warrant that Judge Eineman signed. He found probable cause for 1 count of burglary of a dwelling. And then finally, I have 1 charge of possession of controlled substance. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you're going to represent yourself. You're going to hire a private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, sir.
I'll point the PD, State.
Your Honor, I'm showing a drop 2015 domestic violence battery, possession of marijuana adjudication in 2012, as well as a possession of cocaine in 2012 adjudication, where a jail sentence was imposed, adjudication in 2008 for paraphernalia, and a cocaine possession in 2006, where a state prison sentence was imposed, a resisting without violence adjudication in 2006, a possession of paraphernalia charge adjudication in 2003, as well as a resisting without violence adjudication. State prison sentence was imposed in 2003 for corrupt by threat public servant or family. Possession more than 1 valid driver's license adjudication in 2003. Adjudication in 1999 for possession of cocaine, where a state prison sentence was imposed. Resisting in 99 adjudication. 93 possession of cocaine adjudication. A sale of cocaine adjudication in 93, where there was a state prison sentence imposed. This has been going on since the 80s.
That's good. You're good. You're good. Richard, I have an address on Josephine Street in Brooksville. Is that where you live these days?
Yeah.
How long you been there?
53 years.
All right. You working these days?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
Landscape.
Okay. All right, Richard. I'm going to leave the bonds per the schedule, which is $10,000 on each count for lewd and lascivious, $10,000 on the bird dwelling, and $2,000 on the controlled substance. That's a total of $42,000. On the lewd and lascivious, you'll also have no contact with the alleged victim. Did you hear me explain no contact?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Very good. You also have no contact with any human being under the age of 18. And if you do bond out, you'll be subject to GPS monitoring at your expense. Well, these are all coming back on the 11th, right? Not the 13th?
Yes.
All of these cases, Richard, will come back on September 11th. They may have told you the 13th, but the right date is the 11th. If you can't get out, the public defender is going to come see you before you go to court, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Michael Bagby. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
August 10th, 1977.
Michael, the charge is felony domestic battery by strangulation. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire a private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
You're going to appoint the public defender,
I'll
sir.
appoint the PD. Stay with Heath.
The defendant doesn't have any Florida history, but I am showing that the defendant's a multi-source offender. I have Ohio history, receiving stolen property in 2011. It says convicted. And then Ohio history, aggravated vehicular assault, adjudication, and that is, it looks to be 2000. Then he has Indiana history, which was a possession of paraphernalia, operating while intoxicated, and a resisting law enforcement. And that looks to be an adjudication in 2003, an adjudication for a driving with license suspended out of Indiana, and no other criminal history.
Okay. Michael, I have an address for you on Reynolds Street in Dade City. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
8 months.
And you and Patricia and James all live there?
Yes, sir.
You have a job these days?
Yes. Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I have a company that's a telehealth, helps individuals get off opioids and narcotics, and I have a couple nonprofits that we deal with law enforcement, veterans, displaced family, battered women,
Okay.
and get people treatment.
Okay.
I have a 24-hour hotline for suicide prevention. I have a couple different things that I have going on right now that people are kind of out right now.
Okay. Michael, I'm going to set your bond at $2,000. Condition is that you have no contact with James Evan. Did you hear me explain no contact earlier?
Yes, sir. I do have one question regarding
Sure.
this, sir. With that being my home, see, because he isn't a full resident there. He came down to visit. I was helping him out, trying to get him into the College of USF. And it was just kind of like a little, just asking him about just to carry his load. He got upset and came at me.
And Michael, stop talking about the facts. I get all that. The answer for me is I'm not telling you you can't go to your house. I'm telling you you can't have contact with James. If James stays at your house, then you can't be there. Now that might have, his mom might have something to say about that, of course. But as long as he's there, you got to go somewhere else. So that, I'm putting that all on you. You guys figure that out.
Okay.
But you can't have contact with him, and I don't care where he is or what he does. You're not having contact, okay?
I understand.
All right. Also going to hold you up until 4 p.m. if he wants to serve you with an injunction. He has time to do that. You'll be back in court on the 11th of September. They may have told you the 13th. The right date is the 11th. When you get out, make sure you contact the PD right away, okay?
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Charles Hiley. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
6/23 of 1961.
All right, Charles, I have a warrant for you from the great state of Tennessee. Your options this afternoon are this. You're entitled, if you wish, to have an extradition hearing. The point of the extradition hearing would be to determine if Tennessee actually has a valid warrant for you and if you're the right Charles Hiley. While that process is happening, you'd stay right where you are here in the Hernando County Jail. That can take up to 60 days while we have arrange and have that hearing. At the end of that hearing, if we determine that you're the right guy and Tennessee does have a warrant, at that point, Tennessee would have 15 more days to come get you. You may waive your right to that hearing this afternoon. If you waive your right to that hearing this afternoon, then Tennessee will be notified immediately and told that you've waived and they have 15 days to come and get you. So the question I need for you to answer is, did you want an extradition hearing or did you want to waive your right to that hearing and put Tennessee on the clock right now?
Let me ask you, son, what was this U-Haul rented?
Say that again?
Oh, it was a U-Haul rented, and the head was...
Charles, I don't know anything about the charge. I don't know anything about things that happen in the next county north of here. You go all the way to Tennessee, I really know nothing. All I can tell you is that they want you there, so to clear it up, you got to go to Tennessee. I can't let you out because you're a fugitive as far as we're concerned here in Florida. So the answer is wait and have a hearing or put Tennessee on the clock right now and they'll have 15 days to come get you. If you're still here in 15 days and you've waived, they'll bring you back to see me. If they're not really coming to get you, I might cut you loose.
Okay, I'll wait the white
All
road.
right, very good.
Yeah.
All right, Charles, they'll be notified immediately, told they have 15 days. If you're still here in 15, they're going to bring you back to see me and I'll find out what's going on, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thomas Lovelock. Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
3/11/78.
Thomas, the first charge I have is a felony retail theft. And then we also have a introduction of contraband. There's probable cause for those two charges. As to those charges, you're going to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender, sir.
I'll appoint the PD, and he is out on bond state. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor. He has an open felony case, 2019 CF 1415. The date of offense was July 18, 2019.
Okay, and that's coming back Friday, it looks like.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, Thomas, what I'm going to do on the two new charges on the theft, I'll set a bond of $2,000 on the introduction of $5,000. I'm going to move those both to the 16th of August, which is Friday, which is where your other case is. However, job number one when you're out on bond is don't pick up new criminal cases. It appears to me that you have. Therefore, pursuant to Florida Statute 903.0417, I'm going to revoke your bond in 19 CF 1415. We're going to hold you without bond at least until Friday when you get back in front of Judge Toner. He can revisit that bond issue on Friday if he wishes. The public defender, I'm sure, will be seeing you before you go back to court on Friday, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Clint Mullen.
Your Honor,
Afternoon, sir. What's your date of birth?
7/22/89.
This is one count of grand theft auto. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD, state.
Adjudication for a battery in 2018. 2018 adjudication for a trespass. And no other convictions.
And Clint, I got an address for you on Cherokee Trail in Spring Hill. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long you been there?
Since 2014.
You have a job these days?
Disabled.
Set your bond at $1,000. I'm going to have you back in court on the 11th of September. They may have told you the 13th. The right day is the 11th. If you get out,
Yes,
you
sir.
should contact the PD right away, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. Thomas Neva. Afternoon, Thomas. What's your date of birth?
06/28/94.
Okay, Thomas, I got two charges today of a battery and a disorderly intoxication. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
Showing an adjudication for petty theft in 2016, where it looks like a county jail sentence was imposed. And then in 2014, there's multiple burglaries and criminal mischief charges, all showing adjudications where a state prison sentence was imposed. I don't see any other history, Your Honor.
And, sir, I have an address for you on Abington Way in Weeki Wachee. Is that where you live?
Sir.
How long have you been there?
Since 2012.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
I'm a cook at Sonny's.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave those bonds for the schedule. That's $500 each count for a total of $1,000. You'll be back in court on the 6th of September. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Christopher Wilbur. Mr. Wilbur, date of birth?
10/19/83.
All right, so Chris, we got you released on the local charges, so now they've hit you with this Georgia warrant. Same thing as we did talked about with Mr. Hiley. You can ask for an extradition hearing, or you can waive your right to that hearing if you wish. If you waive your right this morning or this afternoon, I'll put Georgia on the clock right away. What would you like to do?
Put him on the clock, Your Honor.
There you go, brother. Sign that form.
Your Honor, is it 15 days?
15 days, right. And in 15 days, if you're still here, Chris, they're going to bring you back to see me and we'll find out what the problem is, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Jay, you got anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.